Hi, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Two Opinionated, where I'm pretty excited today. I'm speaking with author Pamela Burke. So, welcome, Pam.
Oh, nice to see you. I love your background. I love your background.
Well, thank you so much. See, it's all the. I'm a nerdy guy, so it's everybody yelling "con." Kind
I
of.
see. I see.
And I discovered now we're in a studio now, but when we started, we were operating out just out of a bedroom, so we needed something as a background. So I put that up, and then I decided I kind of like it, so I just left it up.
No, it gets your attention, you know?
Well, Pam, thank you so much for doing this. I'm so excited to talk with you. You've got a media and broadcasting background that's pretty extensive. But I wanted to start. I wanted to start here because I kind of like to hear, what got you into broadcasting, the journalism. When you were growing up, what made you kind of head in that direction?
You know, when I was about 8, I was remembering the other day, I had a neighborhood newspaper that was mine. And
Really?
yes, and I would go knock on doors down the street during the summer and just get all the poop from the neighborhood. I wanted to know where they were going on vacation, what their kids were doing, in the
Yeah.
summertime, the whole deal. And I would take that and I would bring it home and put it on this, I don't know, this archaic thing that made copies. And then I would take it out and I would sell it for a dime. Okay. So
Yeah.
there must have been something at 8 that told me you really want to be a journalist. And I didn't even know the word journalist then, but I thought you want to go into something that connects people, that,
Right.
where you can knock on doors and you can say, hey, what's going on? So I think it's always been a passion. It's kind of in my blood, I think.
So what's a hot news story for an 8-year-old?
I just remember being really nosy about vacations because I just wanted to know what people are doing. Of course, I was home, so I wanted to live vicariously, I think, with the rest of them. Were they going to camp? What were they doing at
Yeah.
camp? All these vital issues that you care about as an 8-year-old.
Yeah, that's actually I think that's so great. Did you put it out once a week?
Yes, it was weekly. And I
Did
felt a dime was a little on the cheap side, but I was happy to get a dime. And it
Yeah.
was a way to get money, it was a way to earn a living.
Well, yeah, of course. What did you do with all of your earnings?
Well, I had to get supplies. I had to get the paper, you know, I had to run the overhead.
Yeah,
I had to Xerox it. There was so many copying things. There was a lot that I had to budget for.
you didn't hire any 7-year-old beat writers.
I had AIDS, believe me. But I can remember going down the street and I would go further and further. But of course, in those days, we weren't terrified of going down the street.
Right, right. Well, that's right. That's right. Yeah, when I was growing up, you were in the neighborhood. Everybody in the neighborhood just kind of looked out for you when you were
Right.
growing up. You didn't worry too much. It was pushed out the door at daybreak, handed
Yes.
a sandwich at lunch, and then you heard the dinner bell at night, and you came home for dinner. But everybody just kind of kept an eye out for you.
Right. No, there was no fear. I never
Yeah.
remember fear.
No, that was back in the days where a lot of people left their doors unlocked.
I don't remember doors being locked. It was really a different time.
It really was.
Right. And this
So,
was outside, this was outside of Boston. This was not in a particularly rural area. It was
oh,
just
really?
it was just small town America.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's pretty great. I miss it. I miss those days.
Well, but you're in West Virginia, aren't you? Are you in a I don't know where you are in West Virginia.
Well, so we're just outside of Charleston, and we are in a little town called St. Albans. Most of West Virginia is smaller towns, other than the capital in Charleston and a couple of cities. It's mostly still small town, but it's different than what it was growing up. It's changed a little bit.
Right.
Yeah. So when you went into high school, Did you work on the school newspaper?
I did some writing. I did.
Yeah.
I worked on the yearbook, and we didn't have a big journalism department.
Right. Yeah.
You know,
Well, that was probably it. Was mostly yearbook, maybe
right?
a
It was
school
basically
bulletin or
yearbook,
something.
writing different articles for the yearbook. But I always loved newspapers. I remember reading newspapers, starting with the sports section because I was outside of Boston and sports were so
Yeah.
big, and reading the Boston Herald and being very interested in the news.
Well, yeah, of course. You'd almost have to be. I mean, that's one advantage living close to a big city because you would have access, I think, to a lot that's going on. Do you have a? Are you a Boston sports fan?
You mean the Sox and the Celtics
Of course.
and the Pats? What do you think?
Yeah, I'm gonna guess yes.
I have banners in the back in my office.
Oh, very nice. Very
Yeah,
nice.
of the good days of those teams.
Yeah,
And the good days
yeah.
of right now, the Sox and the Celtics are doing very well.
They are. Both teams are doing really well. It's not quite the heyday for the Celtics, but they're doing well. They've
No,
got a
but
chance this year.
I'm trying
And
to become more enamored with the teams of Arizona, but there's something about being a Boston fan that supersedes that.
I think that's a tough one to get out of.
Yeah,
Once a Boston fan, it's kind of like a New York, L.A. Those are tough to get out of your system. I think
it's great to be a fan. You have a rooting interest.
it absolutely is. It absolutely is. So you went into media and broadcasting with that.
Right.
What was your first paying job?
My first paying job was in New York City. I always wanted to work in New York City.
Yeah.
And I was going to school in Philadelphia, and I got a summer job at TV Guide doing those little blurbs
Oh.
that you see in the magazine. That was a big time job.
I never thought about that, but yeah, obviously somebody has to do that.
Right, right. So that was the entree. And then as soon as I got out of college, I went to Time Inc. because I always wanted to work for a magazine. And I
Yeah.
went into the building at 50th and 6th, and I said, I'm here.
Hire me.
And they said, oh, great, but what do you do? And I said, well, give me anything to do. And I became a researcher I worked in Sports Illustrated, I worked in Time, I worked in the books division. I did basically books, and I loved it. I loved that building. That it was like the center of the universe for me as far as doing news at that time.
Well, yeah, and that was at that time the print medium, magazines, newspapers, much bigger than what we have now. A lot of it now is online.
Oh, now it's a whole different ballgame.
Yeah.
Oh, totally. I have seen the broadcasting and print media go 360.
Yeah, I
From
bet you have.
my neighborhood newspaper to the podcast that we're doing.
Well, yeah. So talk a little bit about that because you really have. So you went from kind of the print heyday, back when even radio was kind of big then, but then we got away from it.
Right.
And now the print hasn't come back. It's more online, but podcasts are kind of coming into play. And even some of the radio medium is coming back just a little bit.
Yes. No, podcasts have changed the world, really. Anybody can do it. You can do it from your bedroom or your house. You can connect and stream everywhere. It's an amazing medium. Who knew?
Who knew? And we always say podcasting, that is the best thing about podcasting and the worst, because anybody can do it, but there's so much out there. So it's really difficult to build an audience. You gotta bring some quality stuff if you want people to listen.
Right. No, it's if you want a big audience, but it's amazing who you can connect with.
Yeah. Yeah. No, for sure.
Websites. We had a woman from northern Pakistan get in touch with us saying, I really want to talk to you. I need to talk about what's going on here. I couldn't have done that at Time Inc. Nobody was going to call me from Pakistan.
No, that's amazing. Yeah, and I want to talk about the Women's Eye because I know that that's a platform that you're using for podcasting, for radio, and I think that's really interesting. We found the same thing. You know, we're this little father and son podcast out of West Virginia, and we found ourselves being listened to in 55 countries. You know, so we're getting to meet and interact with people that we never would have before. So it's kind of great. But talk a little bit about the Women's Eye and what that is and how you got that started.
Well, it's kind of like my neighborhood newspaper many decades later.
Right. It's evolved.
It's evolved from that little tiny piece of paper that was a dime
Yeah.
to this website that's really a platform to do other things from.
Right.
Because when I was involved in print for many years, and then I kind of went over to broadcasting, which I love, and it's given me great experiences, and it's been one of the best parts of my career.
Right.
But then I thought, hey, there's this thing called the internet, and you can have your own website and look.
That's right.
You can have your own magazine. So I found myself in Phoenix, having worked in LA and New York and a little bit in San Francisco. And I thought, well, the Cronkite School of Journalism is here, which I didn't even know. It's a wonderful journalism school. I went back and I took a media course and I learned how to build a website. And I thought, okay, now I've got this website. What am I going to put on it? And I always loved magazines. In fact, a lot of the broadcasting experience is doing magazine kinds of formats.
Right.
In the female kind of women's area, because there was never much of it. And I thought, how can I take that and then put it on a website and make people want to read it? And what I also was really interested in was doing something that, one, made a difference, and two, that was really positive. I wanted to find people that were really doing wondrous, positive, interesting, fascinating things. And that's what we've been doing. And I've been doing it for a decade now.
That's amazing. So you kind of started that right at the beginning of this podcasting boom and internet boom that we've had over the last 10, 15 years.
And then we turned it into a radio show for 5 years.
Wow.
We would basically do podcasts, but do them on radio at a radio station. And the radio station was sold, and you know all the ins and outs of the radio business. It's gone through a huge overhaul. And we were at an independent station that was sold. It's very hard to be an independent radio station these days.
It really is.
And once it was sold, we thought, okay, let's try the podcast area. I'm all for trying new things. So however you can broadcast, however you can communicate, that's what we want to do. So then we decided, okay, we've done all these interviews with these great people. Let's put them in books and let's get them out that way.
Yeah, I know. I love the you've kind of incorporated everything. You've got all the mediums in there, which I love. And we kind of had a similar story. We did local radio and kind of did our podcast on that for a little while, and then it kind of got bought out by a bigger group, and so we went the podcast route, and that's been a terrific way to do it. And you actually, for the most part, you can reach a bigger audience that way.
Yes, it's a different audience.
Yeah,
it can be a huge audience, and we can reach people. When we were doing radio, we would have people in the studio, so that meant we were having people that were in Phoenix.
Right.
Okay, and we learned with the podcast, what's wonderful is you can have people from West Virginia, from Phoenix.
That's right.
As long as you can get the signal, you can interview them.
That's right.
So
yeah, it's terrific.
That's a total plus.
Well, and you worked in television as well for a little while.
Yes, many years. I started on a show called Tomorrow, which you probably don't even remember. It was a late night show that followed The Tonight Show.
Oh, who was the host?
It was Tom Snyder.
I do remember that.
Who was a great broadcaster.
Yeah.
And we were mandated to open up the time period after the Carson show, the Tonight Show,
Yeah.
because at that time there was nothing on the air. So I've been involved in so many startups. It's been very exciting because we always start with nothing. Okay. You start with nothing and then you build.
That's right.
We had to build a show and we did it. We ended up building that show for 7 years on NBC.
Was that back when?
In the 70s.
Right. So the broadcast networks, they were still signing off.
Yes.
It
was exciting. It was exciting. There was nothing on.
Yeah, that is exciting. My mother has always been a night owl.
Okay.
So when I was growing up, I would tend to stay up kind of late with her, and that's, you got the Tonight Show, and then after that you either got a later talk show or you got maybe a primetime show that was in a rerun or a movie, and then it signed off.
That was it. And now you go all night long. At 3 o'clock in the morning, you get the news.
So what made you kind of go, okay, I'm going to start my own thing and get out of the television world? Because you did that for a while.
Oh, I did it at NBC, and then I did it at Lifetime. I brought them a show called Attitudes, which was one of the first shows with only women as hosts. We did that in New York City, and we would take the viewer all over the city and show them all the new, different, and exciting things that were going on in the city. So we did that for a while. And that was also another, it wasn't live, it was on tape, but it was, we would do the cheap side of New York City and the real expensive side. And it was a show we did in the 80s, and we would get on a bus and go to 105th and Park and, tape it in this little tiny studio and look for 100 people to come to our audience. But we would have great designers. We had Oscar de la Renta, we had Calvin Klein, we had all the wonderful designers that we just put them in. So that was another great experiment.
Yeah, and that show was a little bit ahead of its time, because you used an all-female cast. I think that's terrific. And you've, is that the show that you kind of said, okay, this is the direction I want to go, and I want to highlight, the female side of things?
Well, it helped. It gave me a format to do what I wanted to do at that particular time.
Right.
I've done startup on many different kinds of shows, but I always kind of gravitate to what's not being done. And at the time that really wasn't being done.
Yeah, no, that's right. It back in the 80s, especially, it definitely was not. I mean, what do you think about how things are now and how they have changed for women, for minorities over the last, half a dozen years or so?
Oh, there's so much more available. There's almost nothing you can't see, right?
Right. And it's pretty great because I think it's opened up. So, there's so many more points of view now that are out there, that you can find. It's almost too much. There's so much out there.
Exactly. But I think that what we're doing now in this whole area of changing the world, making a difference, is a great area to be involved in because there's so much going on in just that area. Yeah,
for sure. So I checked out your website at the Women's Eye, and it's really well done. So kudos, because we had to build our website. Yeah, it's well done, and it's easy to navigate, which isn't always the case with websites. So really nice job with that.
No, that's very kind. I appreciate that because I've spent many nights tearing my hair out.
Yeah, I know. We've been the same with our website, and it's constant care.
Yes. and it just doesn't do exactly what you want it to do when you want it to do.
Right.
It's like in broadcasting, you just, put the camera there and let's roll and let's do it.
Yeah.
When you get on the internet, you think, oh, I've got to move this, but why doesn't it move that way? And, so it's a challenge.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I completely get it. Yeah, that's why I said it's really well done. It's easy to navigate, and there's so many good stories on there. So it's really well done. So you've just finished up your new book.
Right. I just decided that the next book would be on the storytellers because we started out with change makers, just women around the world that were taking action to do quite incredible things in my mind. Okay.
Right.
And then I love the broadcasting world and reporters and journalists. And we had interviewed a lot of them, and many of them, I didn't think people really knew. And I didn't think people knew why they did their stories, who they were. And I wanted to illuminate how they were changing the world and connecting the world in a much better way. And the media's had a lot of issues recently,
Sure. Oh yeah, of course.
And I was meeting and talking to, and I have worked with such experienced and wonderful broadcasters. I thought, I've got to get the word out on these people. So then we decided to put 20 of them together in Storytellers. So they're documentarians, they're producers, they're journalists, they're photographers, they're especially the documentarians who really have messages that people that they feel people need to know about.
Yeah, you've done such a good job putting that together. Did you seek most of the people you profile in the book, or did you have some of them come to you?
No, we pretty much seek them.
Yeah.
We seek them at certain times that we see. I will see a picture. I saw a picture in the New York Times, I think, of a woman crossing into Syria carrying this little baby.
Yeah.
In this big, heavy outfit, looking for water and looking for food. And I said, I have to talk to whoever took that picture.
Yeah, that's powerful.
And that picture was taken by Heidi Levine, who I found grew up in Boston. I found her in Israel, and I found her on the internet. And I said, Heidi, I got to talk to you. I want to know who you are, how you took that picture, and what's going on there. Why would you put yourself in that position to do that? And I learned that she had 3 children at home. She's been in all kinds of conflict areas, and she had been taking pictures since she was walking around Boston with her dad as a little kid,
It's amazing.
With a camera. So things that spark our attention, it's like you, I'm sure you say, oh, that's interesting. I got to talk to that person.
Yeah, for sure. So how was your inquiries received? I would assume that people would be pretty positive that somebody was wanting to hear their story.
I think they've been received very well. We're happy. We're happy to. We force nobody. We say, hey, would you like to do this? Great. And see, we used to do the radio show, so sometimes these were radio interviews.
Yeah.
We do the podcast, and we just do plain old interviews if the person isn't available for either. So we do it anyway, anyhow. And I'm a picture person. I worked at Life magazine at one time in my life, and
wow,
I love photographs. So we are photograph heavy in everything we do, and video heavy. We want to show what happened.
Yeah, I love that. Do you are you a photographer yourself?
I love to take pictures.
Yeah.
I will bore you with my pictures at any time.
It's there's taking pictures and then actually having a little bit of skill as a photographer. It's it's definitely a skill set, for that group of people, that can capture those moments. So that's exciting.
The wonderful thing is, when I was at Life magazine, there was a photographer, and those were great photographers. There was a guy who was shooting in Saigon, and he said, "Do you want me to bring back a camera?" I said, "Yes, bring me back a Nikon. Bring me back the lenses. I want to learn how to take pictures." So I got to train on a Nikon at a young age. And
that's awesome.
It stuck with me. But now with digital photography, who can't take a picture?
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely improved, because that's the intimidating side of photography, is the knowing what camera you need and then learning how to use the camera. So yeah, digital has really made it much simpler.
No, the picture tells the story.
Yeah.
And that's why my transition to broadcasting was really simple, because that's just pictures, but it's moving.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, it's so exciting. I love that you had, let me see if I get it right, Betsy West and Julie Cohen,
right,
who did the Ruth Bader Ginsburg documentary. how did you, because that's pretty big, and how did you get them to be a part of the book, and what did they feel about this documentary that they developed?
Well, as soon as I heard about the documentary, I said, first of all, I have to see this,
Yeah,
because Supreme Court justices don't talk to anybody.
right.
You never find out about their home life, their married life, their
No,
training.
you never hear anything about
No,
them other than the decisions they make.
I thought, here are two women that have, not only have they been able to get to Ruth Bader Ginsburg, but they've done a long documentary with her. I said, how does that happen? So the second it opened in Phoenix at 105 degrees in May, I took a bunch of people.
Wow.
And we had contacted them. There was no way they were going to avoid us, because we wanted them, we wanted them on the website so badly.
Yeah.
And we got them together right before the documentary opened. And I mean, we started our book with them because it was such a tour de force what they did. And of course, they ended up almost winning an Oscar. Who knew?
Yeah. Well, it's a terrific documentary, and you can't get a better subject.
No, and they had known her, but they had never been able to really do a long piece with her. But
Right.
they finally, over months of knowing her and working with her, they finally persuaded her to let them work with her. And this was 3 or 4 years they spent with her.
Oh wow! I had no idea it was that long a period of time.
No, these documentaries are lengthy. They take a lot of effort and a lot of perseverance. But
Yeah.
as they were doing it, this whole notorious RBG things happened.
Right.
All of a sudden, this Supreme Court justice was a notorious one, and people were
Yeah.
really interested in her. And they were wearing the robes, and little girls were wearing the collars. And so they were lucky that they picked a great subject, but they knew what they were doing. These are seasoned documentarians.
Yeah. That's so amazing. I kind of feel like if somebody wanted to document me, it would take like a week and a half.
Oh, I think it would take at least a month. It would
maybe a month. Maybe a month, but it'd be a long month for them.
But you see these documentaries, some of them are over a week, some of them are over years, some of them are over decades. It just depends on the subject. We did another one that I loved with Lindsay Sievert in Minneapolis, because I saw her documentary, Love Them First. And it was all about this elementary school that had gone through such violence that she said, and she met the school principal, and she said something so special in the school principal, she had to do the documentary on her. And over 2 years, she follows the school. She sees the grades improve. She sees the kids doing well in their tests. And by the end of the documentary, she can show how a school really improved, and how a school went from absolute poverty to, the kids were really happy to go to school, and the school was doing well. She ended up winning a DuPont award, and she started knowing nothing.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Are most of the stories in the book, are they positive stories?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, because first of all, I'm really attracted to positive stories.
Yeah. We need that right now.
Yes, no, and I've done a lot of in the news business, and I like the news business, but I turn on the news, and if I see one more person shot, or one more person killed, or one more riot, or one more whatever, I want to know people that are trying to find solutions and trying to do them in a positive way. So, hey, there's loads of people doing that. I just want to do something different.
Yeah, I know. I love that, and I love that you're collecting these stories into a book that's just a positive read. Yeah, the stories are inspirational. The subject matter of the stories, from the people you're focusing on, and then the projects that they're working on. It's just, all of it's just so positive. I love that.
Well, it shows us that we can do positive things. We can take action. And many in our Change Makers book, many of the women started with almost no money. It wasn't a question of money. They just found a way to attract people that were interested in their causes and to build nonprofits or build schools or build. We talked to Estella in Florida who had a bus she called the Brilliant Bus. Kids weren't getting educated. They weren't getting computers. She took an old bus. She got somebody to give her a bunch of computers and she started running around the neighborhood with the bus. Now,
That's great.
how great is that? We
That's
need more of
terrific.
that. We need more of that.
Yeah, yeah, we absolutely do. So would you call yourself a change maker or a storyteller?
Well, that's an excellent question. Could you be both?
I think you could.
Yeah, I think it could be a little bit of both.
Yeah. Yeah, because I love that you're highlighting areas that maybe you wouldn't think they'd be, underappreciated, but they are a little bit.
I think they're unknown in many cases.
Yeah,
Not publicized in many cases.
for
These are
sure.
humble people. These are people that don't look for a lot of praise and big splash. You kind of have to drag them out sometimes because they just want to do what they do.
Right. Well, right. Yeah, and most of the time when I've run into to people that are like that, they're not really wanting any accolades. They're
No.
really doing it for the greater good and to get, those either what they're working on to make it better or to get those stories out there and be told. So it's very positive. I keep coming back to that because it really is, and that's something that we don't get enough of.
No. Plus, they keep going.
Right.
I would say we put 40 women in these two books, and what they've built is still going, and they're refining it and defining it and making it bigger and growing to more countries and telling bigger stories. These are people that they almost have a calling to keep
Right.
doing what they're doing. And in many cases, they just want to continue connecting people some way. There's no quit in them. No quit.
Yeah, that's so inspirational. So who do you think would benefit the most from these books?
Well, if you're walking on this earth, you could use this book. About that. No, I had somebody blurb. I just want to read you a blurb from
Yeah.
one of my favorite people here. Oh, I don't think I have it, but I worked with a man who worked with me at he started People magazine, and I said, would you look at our book and would you give us a little blurb? And he said, sure, I'll take a look at it. And he said, as a father of 4 girls, I think men would really profit from reading this book because these women are sharing their stories. And if they're sharing it with us, we should find out about what they're doing. So I think there's a male audience there that could learn about what women are up
Love
to.
that.
Somebody mentioned that they thought millennials would have a real interest in it because we have a generation that's really interested in doing things that make the planet better. They're
Yeah.
really an exciting generation, kids in their 20s and in their 30s.
Yeah,
So
it's very hopeful.
they thought that this would be a really good book for them to maybe read a chapter at a time and see what women are doing. So I don't know, if you care about the planet and you want to connect and you want to know what's going on, I think that you'd enjoy it and learn from it. And probably, I want people to tell their stories. I want people
Yeah.
to connect. That's part of the reason we did it. It's not just to show you these people, but it's to show you that you too can, knock on a neighbor's house, get to meet people, get to know people, get to help people.
Yeah, I love that so much. How, because I'm guessing you had way more than 20 women. How
Yes.
did you narrow it down to these
Oh,
20?
crying.
Yeah.
That's the hardest thing, is to edit, to winnow down.
Right.
Yeah. No, I want to do more. We just do the best we can with what we have and the stories that seem to be different and interesting and that go
Yeah.
well together. And then I could do another volume of each of them because there's no end to the stories and what they're doing. So that's a
Yeah.
hard part. That's a hard part.
Yeah, it would have to be. Have you taken some of those that didn't make the book and have you maybe featured them on the website or had them on the podcast?
We continue to do them. Yes, we
Yeah.
continue to update them. And the wonderful thing about the internet is these stories are there forever.
Right. Yeah, they're there. Anytime somebody searches, they're going to find them.
Yeah, that's one amazing thing is
Yeah.
just because it's not on the front page, it still matters. We find people go back to the oldest stories we've done. They just get interested in another subject. I will look at what people are reading and I will say, oh, that was so long ago, but people are interested in it. It's great.
Yeah, I love that. So, don't you think that this book, 20 women storytellers, let me get it right, taking action with powerful words and images. I love that you put images in there. Don't you think that this would make a pretty good television show?
I think it would. Yes, obviously. I think that it's something I've thought about.
Yeah.
Whenever I get this internet thing down, I'm going to go in that direction.
Well, even as a web series, it just seems like, I mean, this would be something that I would watch if it was on a streaming platform or network, web series, whatever it would be. I would watch that. And
Yeah,
just you've got the stories already, so let's make a TV show.
No, I agree. You want to do one? No, I think
Yeah, let's do it.
Because what we were trying to do with storytellers is to say, okay, you're reading these women's stories, but this is who they are. This is what they do. This is why they're attracted. And you don't get that story on television. You just get the broadcaster standing up and introducing the story. You don't know who they are.
That's right.
You don't know if they're, in many cases, you don't know if they just put their kids off to school. You just don't know why they're doing what they're doing. And I think that people's motivation is fascinating. I would love to follow these women around and tell their story because it's a bigger story.
Right. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. And you're right. I know one of the things we love on this podcast is kind of seeing behind the scenes and getting the motivations that people have to become what they are. I think that would be great to watch.
Right. I was thinking just yesterday that we see a lot of these shows like 60 Minutes and all these news shows and the Today Show and the morning shows, but we don't see how they get to make their decisions. We don't see who they are. We don't see the behind the scenes of the people that are delivering the news. And I think that's important.
Yeah, I completely agree. And that's why I thought this book was so great because, I mean, you've got journalists, you've got combat photographers, you've got women from all walks of life, documentarians, all this that you're highlighting that I think don't always get the credit that they should.
No. And I'm in the media business and I didn't know most of what was in this book when I started. So if we're in the business and we don't know this, we need to disseminate this information. It's quite fascinating.
It really is. So are you writing all of these stories or do you have some help with some of them?
Oh, I would take about 10 interns and 20 correspondents and 8 photographers. And no, we have very slim pickings here.
Sure.
But I work with wonderful people that I've worked with throughout my career. I have a woman who co-edited this book who I worked with at NBC. I have 2 podcast hosts. I don't do the podcast. I have podcast hosts.
Yeah.
One's in Las Vegas and one's in Phoenix, and they are award-winning broadcasters, and they're great friends of mine. And we just say, okay, this is what we want to do today. They're so dependable, and I love working with them. So I put everything together.
Yeah. It seems like what you do is just very rewarding. Like I bet you love coming to work.
I love going upstairs. Here it is. Yeah, but I used to work in newsrooms where there's a bevy of people and everybody would be talking to each other and people would be saying, oh, did you hear this? Did you see that? I got my dog.
Yeah.
So
you can't beat that.
I kind of miss the bevy of activity. Well, and now with the with the pandemic. There's no bevy of anything.
Right. No,
But
that's right. That's right. Yeah, we've kind of enjoyed that as well, because we were operating just out of the house. Now we operate out of a studio that's just a couple of minutes away from the house, but we kind of pretend like that's going to work, you know.
hey, just to get outside,
Yeah.
it's great. But you know the newsroom mentality of, people are feeding off of each other. Here you feed
Right.
off of the internet, you feed off of the TV, you walk down the street,
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. For sure. So what's next? After this book, you've got the book comes out Saturday, right?
Yes, hopefully, I think I've uploaded to every possible upload place.
Terrific. Yeah, so that's a good question. So it should be available everywhere.
Well, it's a pre-order. We're on, you can pre-order it through most bookstores, and you can
Yeah.
get it on Amazon pre-ordering. Saturday, it should be available with no pre-order because it's out. But it's quite a process just to get it to this point. I have one.
Oh, look
So
at that.
I know it exists.
It's out there.
It's out there, and I'm going to send you one.
Oh, you're so kind. Yeah, I would absolutely love that. And, being married to a woman that I really admire, that just really works herself to death, but she does it with such passion.
Oh, good.
She works in entertainment, and I know that she'll absolutely love to read the book as
Oh,
well.
good.
So
And
I'm
plus, I
excited.
want to know. I want to know more about women in West Virginia. I want to know what's going on there.
Well, you should. I've got just the one for you to talk to.
No, because the story is everywhere, but the question is, how do you connect? How do you get to
Right.
them?
That's right. That's
So
right.
any suggestions, just send them my way.
Yeah, that's so great, Pam. This is I'm so excited about the work that you're doing, and it was something that, shame on me, I wasn't aware of. So this is really opened my eyes, and I'm so excited to read this book, and I got to get the other book too. So I'm gonna read them both.
I'm sending you a kit. It's a women's eye kit. We have bookmarks. Okay.
Oh wow!
Specially designed bookmarks.
Look at that.
The most fun of doing the book was really doing the bookmark. I tell you, I love to
Yeah.
do bookmarks. Okay. So I'll send you a bookmark and both books, and
You're so
the future,
kind.
I hope is video of this. It's a big transition to do video, but we'll do it along the way. We'll try anything, we
Well,
want to
yeah,
tell
you
the story.
should. Yeah, you totally should. And I love that. I'm sure it's available online, but and probably audio as well. But I love the fact that you've got actual books. I love holding a real book, and you put a real bookmark in it.
No, I have to see things to believe it, and I had to get my hands on it to know that it was happening. But we have a website, which is womensstorytellersbook.com, and on it we put all the information about the book and our blurbs, because we have some wonderful people that have taken time to read it and to give us their feelings about it. So it's all very exciting.
It really is. You're doing such great work, Pam. Thank you so much for coming on the show. I've had a blast. You're going to have to come back.
Oh, I'd love to. I'm so glad to meet you.
Well, yeah, thank you.
And I like what you're doing. And I read all about your interest in all kinds of different things. So I want to know more about you.
You're so kind. That is so kind of you. I appreciate that so much.
Something about comic books that I need to understand.
Oh yeah, well, I'm your guy.
All right. It's been great. It's been great.
Well, Pam, so before you go, go through all the websites that we can find your terrific work on, all the social media.
Well, as I say, we are thewomenseye.com. WOMENS. That it all emanates from there.
Yeah.
And we're on Twitter as the Women's Eye. I'm on Instagram as the Women's Eye. I have no name. I am just the Women's Eye. Don't look for me, look for the women's eye.
Yeah, I love that.
We're on Facebook. Social media, you have to be involved with to get your word out. So we try to do it any way we can. So this womenstorytellersbook.com is the best place to find information about the book. But as I say, Saturday, May 1 is the big day.
It's pretty exciting.
Actually, this might be in a bookstore.
That's exciting.
Yes.
Like I would love to have something that I've worked on, and be able to go into a bookstore and see it. That would just be amazing.
Well, there's time. You can do that.
No. Brett's the writer. I'll let him do the writing. I just
tell your story to Brett.
Well, yeah, that's the hope, right? Is that he'll be interested enough to want to write it. So that'd be great.
But you've done all these wonderful interviews. You've done great interviews.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I appreciate that.
I was looking through what you've accomplished, and there's a lot of really fascinating people and topics.
Well, you're so kind. That is so nice. Yeah, I think so. I think we've been really fortunate to be connected with just some terrific people, and you are definitely right there with them. And it's so nice to connect to positive people doing positive things. So I love it. Thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome. No, thank you for having me on.
Oh yeah, for sure. You got to come back. Have you ever been to West Virginia?
I was thinking today, I have never been to West Virginia. And, I have such curiosity about this country and what goes on in this country. Yeah. I've just got to get to the bottom of it somehow.
Yeah, you got to come out. You need to come in the fall when the leaves are changing.
Oh, I love the leaves. I love the leaves changing. Yeah. And so I grew up in Boston. I love leaves.
Yeah.
I have no leaves here. I have cactus, but I'm not going to say anything bad about cactus. It's a beautiful state. But
yeah, for sure. Do you ever get home to Boston?
I'm sorry, what?
Do you ever get home to Boston?
Yes, I do, but not in the pandemic. I haven't been back, but I keep in touch with those people. Yeah.
Oh, that's terrific. Yeah, that's terrific. Well, you just need to do a cross-country trip.
I do. I absolutely do. I would go to every state. I have a great curiosity about this country.
Yeah, that's always something that I've wanted to do. And now that I'm a grandfather, I'm hoping that we can do that with the grandkids, to really travel the country and see a lot of the states that I haven't got to see.
Right. And I want to talk to the people. I want to know what's going on. You see it through the news, and they do a great job, but you want to really get to the people themselves and have a conversation.
And you're doing that, and it's terrific. So Pam, thank you so much again, and please let's do this again at some point real soon. I'm sure you're going to be doing more books.
I can update you in the future as to what we've been learning and what we've been doing and what
things
we're doing.
Yes, please do that. And I'm excited. I didn't have a chance yet to watch some of the podcasts, but I'll definitely be doing that. I always like to watch other podcasters and then see what I can learn that we can use on our podcast.
Oh, great. Yeah, take a look at them. And on Saturday, do you have a local bookstore?
We do. Yeah.
If you don't mind, give them a call and ask them if they have the book.
Yeah, I will. We have a store in Charleston called Taylor Books, and it's pretty well known.
Writing that down.
Yeah, Taylor Books. It's very well known. It's kind of a tourist destination, and I'm sure they would absolutely love to have this book there. So I will. I'll give them a call.
Oh, good. They may not have the book, but they have access to the book. That's exciting.
That's right. Yeah, we'll make sure they get it. All right, Pam, hold on one second. I'm going to put us on pause. How fun was that? Pamela Burke, just the nicest woman and so talented. I'm in awe of all that she's doing and accomplishing. Please do yourself a favor. Look up The Women's Eye. Look up this absolutely terrific anthology. I want to make sure I get the name right. 20 Women Storytellers Taking Action with Powerful Words and Images. Comes out this Saturday, May 1st. Do yourself a favor and check that out. She was just the nicest lady. I'm so happy to have met her. Thank you guys so much for tuning in again this week. I know we don't take that for granted. I appreciate you so much. If you haven't done so, we mentioned it a little bit earlier. We're trying to build up our YouTube channel. So if you're so inclined, if you could give us a like and a subscription, we would appreciate that. It's under Meisterkhan Pod. You can also find us on our website, meisterkhan.com. Has all 230 or so episodes of Too Opinionated, Too Spooky, audio and video. It has a terrific blog from Brett and a lot of other fun stuff on there. So please check that out. Until next time, bye everybody.